Welcome to the Healthpreneur podcast. My name is Uriel Kame, New York Times bestselling author, former professional athlete, and founder of Healthpreneur, the world's leading company helping health and fitness experts start and scale high-end coaching businesses. If you want to attract more clients, learn how to convert them without feeling salesy, and deliver an amazing program for them on the back end, if you want to be inspired by what others just like you have gone through and how you can do the same no matter what life throws your way, then you are in the right place, because every single week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to be bringing you the best to help you take your knowledge and expertise to the next level with your health or fitness coaching business. And if you enjoy what you see and hear and would like to take your business to the next level, then I invite you to check out our free online training over at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. And for now, let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Healthpreneur podcast, special edition client deep dive. Today we've got one of our Health Business Accelerator clients on board with us. Her name is Mazanec, and I'm going to give you a little brief rundown of who she is, just so we have a bit of context. She is a personal trainer, holistic health counselor, and yoga instructor who's been doing what she's been doing for 16 years, mostly helping people one-on-one, and that's probably why she came to us, to help move away from some of the one-on-one, get her marketing dialed in a little bit more. But she's really passionate about helping executive wellness women, or helping women in executive positions really improve their health and vitality. And I'm excited to have you on the podcast with us today, Tara. So let's dive into this. How can we best support you over the next 25 minutes or so?
So I'm just looking to take a look at my web slides to make sure I'm on the right track. I have been really excited about this program because learning how to make webinars and Facebook ads, I think it's going to give me another edge to help me get more online. You know, I've been doing one-on-ones live for a long time, and as much as I don't want to get away from that, it'd be nice to do 3/4 online and 1/4 live in person.
Yeah, totally.
So take a look at my slide deck just to see, or even just talk about what my perfect client would be, and just to make sure that I'm on the right track so I can move on to the next phase.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's rock and roll. Can you share your slide deck on the screen?
Let me see how I...
And if you guys are listening to this on the podcast on iTunes, just hop on over to Healthpreneur on YouTube, check out the channel, go into the Healthpreneur podcast channel. You'll be able to see this video. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then welcome. Here you go. Okay. So we are having a look at your webinar slide deck. As you guys know, a webinar is a huge component to what we teach, because it's probably the most effective way to get people to buy into your philosophy and move them to the next stage. Okay.
You can see that?
Yes. And just so you know, this first slide is not going to be in the webinar, right?
Right. Of course.
That would be a hilarious title slide. It's like, people are like, what? What are you talking about before you start? Okay, so the Bounce Back Project, the new simple and effective method to stay goodbye to wellness dependency, bring you back into action, and help you become your own CHO, Chief Health Officer. Okay, so let's start with, who is the perfect client? Who's the person who's going to be watching this webinar?
So they are previous athletes, Division 1, 2, 3, have lost sight of their wellness based on career changes, lifestyle changes. They've left college, they've left the schedule, they've left the intensity of what the coaches were providing for them, but they didn't want to lose the intensity of the actual workouts, and they're very passionate about their wellness. They're not newbies, they're independent, they're intermediate, independent wellness professionals, and now that they're in the next stage of their life, they're focusing on something a little bit different. They're focusing on their careers and their next direction with making money now that they're not playing sports, and they never made it to pro, but they still want to be very active. So
they have the lifelong athlete inside of them.
They do. So they're not beginners. I'm not working with beginners anymore. So I'm working with mainly women who have gotten into their 30s and 40s, and they want to get back to that intensity, so hence the Bounce Back Project, but they also want to maintain some level of self-reliancy, and they don't want to depend on the next gimmick that society has deemed appropriate. So every philosophy pretty much says the same thing. However, the author has put a different spin on it. So I'm really helping each person be their own author and be their own CHO to create their own nutritional philosophy and wellness philosophy.
So just out of curiosity, are you your perfect clients like back in the day? Were you?
So I did play soccer, hence why I absolutely loved watching your video.
There you go. You're in the right place.
I did, yeah. So your video actually really spoke to me, and one of the reasons why I signed up for this, I've done so many in the past. I was an athlete in high school and previous years, and then in college for 2 years. But then I went into a pre-med type of program, and switched from that into economics, and then went full force into my career. But I just love wellness.
Cool.
So I went out of finance and moved back to where I really wanted to be and where I really should have been, which was working with clients, helping them be fit.
Perfect.
I want to work with people who want to make that sustainable change, but can get their goals set and then maintain it for life. I've gotten to a point where I've backed away from listening to every advice out there. I've learned from it. I've taken what I want and what I don't, and then I've created a philosophy for myself. And It's been wellness, maintenance, and even still, like I'm 42 and I feel better than when I was 20.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's great. So let's talk about, yeah, totally, for sure. Let's talk about this title slide. So first thing is, actually, were you on our call last night, the Polish Your Proprietary Process call?
Oh, I had a client.
Okay.
I shouldn't say that. I was lucky enough to have a client. So I
had a client. Damn clients. So here's the first thing is I would recommend watching that. I've actually put it back up into module 1 inside the online portal. It'll really help with this, okay? So what I'd like to talk about here are, I think for the sake of our time here, 2 big things that'll really help you. Number 1 is 3 things. Number 1, let's get massive clarity on the problem you're solving. Number 2, it's let's figure out a way to maybe wordsmith the promise here of the webinar. And 3, let's look at the title a little bit more and maybe just bring it back to, well, I'll give you some nuances around that. So talk to me about the problem. So what is the one problem that these athletes, former athletes, lifelong athletes in their minds are facing now that they've launched into their life and they're no longer playing sports like they used to? What's the number 1 problem that they are aware of? Like it's something that is just in the back of their mind or top of mind all the time that you can solve for them.
Well, there's actually 2. One is they're disorganized, where they've been dependent on a coach to design programs for them every day for their whole athletic career. And there's no lack of motivation. They have the motivation, the desire, the drive. They just don't know how to piece it all together and develop a systematic process for themselves going forward.
So are they aware that they're disorganized with their health and fitness? Or
yes, they're aware.
All right. So what does that mean to them? So they're disorganized with their health and fitness, and that means that what is the outcome of that that reality?
Well, let's see. Getting back to not necessarily the perfect body shape, but the perfect, I shouldn't say perfect, but that athleticism that they once had, where they could, easily run up a stadium stairs without any reservations. They put on some pounds, certainly, but they're not organized with their schedule. It's not a priority, and everything else is coming first.
So maybe this will help. Like we could use me as an example because I'm your perfect client, except for the fact that I'm male, not female. So obviously for me growing up playing soccer, that was my entire focus was just doing that. Now, when I would train, like in the gym, for instance, for soccer, it was like singular focus. I'm doing these deadlifts, I'm doing these power snatches, whatever, for the sole focus of jumping 1 inch higher. So it was never appearance-based, or it was never an appearance thing. It was more of a performance thing. And I really believe that most athletes, for the most part, are going to be performance-driven. And I think that's important to remember throughout this process with your enrollment calls as well, that these are individuals who understand that it's not just how you look, it's how you perform, and how you perform in your sport. And the sport is life, right? Like really, like if you're a parent or you just want to conquer life. So the challenge that I ran into when I retired from playing soccer was now I was working out for the sake of working out. Like I didn't have the same goal, the same focus, the same desire. And I'm sure there's a lot of athletes who've kind of fallen into that. So things like CrossFit have become so huge because it's taken that all right, you've been out of sports for 5, maybe 10 years. This is the thing you need to get. This is the thing you've been looking for. You don't even need to get back into it. So we want to speak their language in the sense of really identifying, okay, you're at a point where there could be more. And this is going to be a real play on messaging, I think. Like from your Facebook ad right into the webinar, is you're connecting a message with a person who maybe is thinking about this, but they come across your message on Facebook and it's like, holy cow, that's exactly my situation. Yeah, like, yes, like I used to be at my peak. Now I'm not so much there, but I know I could get back. I know I can perform even maybe better than I did in the past. Like you mentioned, feeling better than you do now than in your 20s. So the essence, so we want to try to get to a core benefit. So the core benefit of the outcome that if someone's on your webinar registration page and they're looking at the headline and the sub-headline, the promise of why they should join or watch the webinar, the promise that you're making to them, you're essentially, there's a transaction. You're saying, give me your email and I will give you this in return, right? So here's the person's thinking, okay, why should I put my email in here? And you're saying, well, when you do that and click submit, here's the promise. Here's what you're going to get in this webinar in return. So if I'm looking at this for myself and I'm looking at like the promise being like the new, simple, and effective method to say goodbye to wellness dependency, number one, I'm not too sure what that means. Okay, so we'll wordsmith that a little bit. Bring you back into action to help you become your own CHO. I think we can make that a lot more powerful. Okay, so number one, we want to be super clear in all of our messaging. So CHO, the first thing I thought of when I saw that was carbohydrates.
Oh.
So carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, like that was like the short form I remember in school. So I'm like, become your own carbohydrate. What?
Yeah.
So that's an example. And then obviously you elaborate on what it is right next to it. But that's an example of clarity. We want to be so clear that it's impossible to be misunderstood. Okay. So.
And there's another piece to this where I've always had that thought of why should people wait until something happens to them before they take action? And this whole idea of like prehab, not rehab. So I also threw a prehab project out there for a little bit and really focusing on, okay, you don't have to wait till you're 90 to now wake up. Let's start now and let's maintain your sense of identity and wellness and awesome performance forever.
Well, what's funny about that is that every health and wellness professional loves that idea, right? Prevention, prehab, we totally get it. But for the average person, they don't take action until something happens. And so in this case, what I think is if we kind of step into the prospect's life here, what's happening is that there's probably this simmer under the surface, this simmering of just discontentment, right? Things are not as good as they could be. Like I know I could be doing better if I just had the right plan, if I just had the right structure, if I just had the right meaningful goal to work towards. That would give me something to wake up in the morning for, right? Instead of sleeping in an hour more or whatever it might be. So that kind of slow simmering percolation that's happening just day in and day out, and it's probably been happening to them since they stopped playing their sport. And so it may have been 5 years, 10 years, 20 years already. And it's just simmering under the surface. And maybe there's something that either it was one event where, maybe they had a workout with a friend and they're like, oh my God, I'm completely out of shape. Or they went back to their old sport and played a pickup game where they were playing with their kids and they're like, oh my God, like I am nowhere near where I was before. And there's that realization like, man, I got to change this. Sometimes there might not be. Like I think most athletes are very aware that they're very kinesthetically aware, right? So there's this awareness of just, like things are not quite where they are. So I think your whole idea of like bringing them back to their prime, I think is a really good idea here. So I just want to kind of work on like the wording, the messaging here a little bit. So bring you back into action. Again, if we clean that up a little bit, the essence of what you're trying to say is we're trying to bring them back to their prime almost, right? Is that the essence of what we're trying to get at here? Okay. The new simple and effective method is, do you have have you built out your proprietary process? Like, is there a number of steps in there, or what does that look like?
Essentially, it's not solidified yet, but
Yeah.
I do have, like, down further in the slides, you can kind of get a sense. Do you want to see what it looks like quickly? I don't know if you have time for that.
Well, before we get there, actually, even sort of, it's kind of like a 5-step approach there. Is that what I'm saying?
It's like 4 steps. So essentially, it's my whole philosophy is keep it simple, keep it fresh, keep it healthy, keep it consistent.
Nice.
So there is no guessing game. You can go to any party, any event, and make decisions based on what you've learned.
Cool.
Forever.
Cool. So I think it's important to maybe address the target audience here in the subheadline, right? So we'll put the new and simple effective method to the side for a second. Let's just kind of, discover how, and now we got to come up with a term to describe this person. So, former athletes, I'm not too sure if that's the right word, or, what word would you use to describe the women you want to serve? Like, how would they describe themselves?
High performing.
Okay. Right. So, so the discover how other high performing women are, I just totally lost my train of thought. So discover how other high performing women are getting back into their prime, or something along those lines of how they're resurrecting their old self to be even better. And this is a terrible example of copywriting skills right here off the top of my head. I'm going to blame it on the freezing cold weather. I just took my dogs for a walk and my head is frozen.
Your mind is frozen.
Exactly.
What do you think about the title?
So I think the title it's good if there's explanation with it.
Yeah.
So one of the things we did last night on the training was introduce a new concept called the product name genie. So the product name genie. And essentially what it was trying to help our clients do is, how do you take the name of your program, or in this case, the name of the webinar or whatever, and how do we make it really pop? And there's 2 things that I want to kind of help you through with this. Number 1 is it's really important to embed the benefit in the title. So the Bounce Back Project, there's an element of benefit there, right? I'm trying to think of, like, if there's, let's kind of use that as an example. What if there was something like, get back to your prime, like getting back to your prime, or there might be a better word that might more cohesively illustrate or resonate with the viewer or the listener or whatever in this specific case. Because the Bounce Back Project, I think it sounds really good. It's a good alliteration of words. And as long as there is some description, like underneath in terms of the subheadline, it would make sense. But what we also want to think about is the headline itself. Just by itself, if we were to cover up the subheadline, it should speak to a desired benefit that the client wants, right? So we're going to use a combination of, and you've kind of already done this here, which is good. So we're going to use a combination of a benefit and a power word. So the benefit is kind of bounce back, right? The power word would be something like system, blueprint, project, method, formula, etc., right? And all we're going to do at the end of that is put a TM, because it's obviously your proprietary process. It's your intellectual property. So what that's going to do is it gives it more credibility, more authority, and now it just kind of stands on its own a little bit more effectively. Okay, so let's go back to the subheadline, because this really is the promise. Like, if you get this subheadline right, this helps you with the webinar registration page. This helps you with your Facebook ad copy. And this is probably very similar to the promise of your program as well, right? It's going to be more or less the same. So wellness dependency, what are you trying to say there?
So taking them away from like when they were a high performing athlete, they had coaches all around them feeding them information. So they've acquired knowledge over the years. So if they could retract that knowledge and organize it in a systematic format so it takes them into where they want to go with their performance. They may not be at their peak like they were when they were 20, because now they're 40. So they're not depending on the next gimmick nutrition philosophy. They're not depending on somebody else's program. They've taken the knowledge that they've acquired and I'm teaching them how to organize it in a systematic format to get them to that stage of I'm on my own, I'm self-reliant, I'm my own advocate for myself.
So if we think of what that's going to help them do, if we take it up like one level to the ultimate benefit, I'm just thinking of one of our clients, Nick Holtz. He's got a great headline, which is something along the lines of like, I help guys in their 40s look, feel, and perform better than they did in their 20s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's essentially what I'm going for.
Yeah, and I would say like that is so much more powerful because what you just told me in terms of like becoming more self-reliant, becoming more organized, that's part of the how, right? And once that's tackled, ultimately what that means is the person is going to feel better, look better, perform better than they did in their 20s, for instance. So I would almost want to see this kind of guided in the direction of kind of what Nick has used with what I just said there, if that's fitting for your audience.
So I help women in their 30s and 40s become self-reliant and feel better than they did in their 20s?
I wouldn't even put self-reliant in there. So I would say I help high-performing women in their 30s and 40s look, feel, and perform better than they did in their 20s.
Look, feel, and perform. Feel and perform.
And there's really no ambiguity there, right? It's like really clear cut. So we've got the age demographic. We have the target audience, high-performing women. And then we have the promise, right? You're going to look, feel, and perform better than you did in your 20s.
So I get rid of this whole thing, like the new and simple effective method? Or maybe I could do like a new and simple effective method to help high-performing women.
Or I would just say like the new way that high-performing women or in their 20s, in their 30s and 40s, or how I help.
Yeah, I like the new way to help, or I help. Oh, how I help. Yeah, I see that.
Like the new way, that when you mention something like the new way, there's a certain amount of curiosity there, right? So it's like, what is this new way? Well, I really like using new way because it implies that there's a new, better way to do things. And the cool thing about that is it's exactly how we've built Healthpreneur. It's like, this is the new way, and the enemy is the old way. And what's the old way is everything else. So it naturally sets you up from a positioning standpoint to polarize and to say, here's what a lot of people are doing. Here's why this might not be working for you and other people. And this is the new way. If you really want to get these results, here's what we're doing. And with or without you, the ship is sailing. But if you like what you see, then here's what we'd recommend you do. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Now I have to change a lot of my slides.
Again, like if it fits, right? Like it's, I don't want to force anything into your brain here, but again, we want to really focus on, what's going to convert and what's really going to capture people's attention, because the words matter, and words are going to carry a message that's going to imply a lot of benefit to the user, right?
Because I also think that this is not going to be just about, getting them back to snatches and cleans and high intensity, but it'll be a way to align where they are in their 40s, in their health, with how they want to go going forward. So it's a different method of working out, essentially, too.
Totally, because you're going to be speaking, like their goals are going to be different. Like it's not going to be like, I want to win the state championship anymore. It's like, I want to outlast my kids, for instance.
But it's also with nutrition, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's, you think back to, man, you used to recover so quickly after those training sessions, and now you feel sore for a week. Like there's all sorts of, like in the can you relate section here at the beginning, and there's so many things that, like if I were to see this and it's like, man, that's like so bang on. And, it's however you want to position it, like in terms of getting people to think about, 20 years ago, you were training or competing for the big championship. Now the championship is life, right? Let's prepare you for the sport of life and make you a winner so that when you leave this planet, you're like, this was amazing.
Oh my God. That was amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did you have that recording? This is recorded. Okay.
Well, it is recorded. Listen back to the podcast after. So yeah, just tapping into those core emotions, because if they're in their 30s and 40s, they're going to be parents most likely. They're going to be wanting to be more productive and effective at work. They're going to want to have more energy. They're not good. Like if someone was in their teens or early 20s as a high performance athlete, and then they're in their 40s lethargic, tired all the time, there's a massive amount of pain there internally because they know that's not who they are. And they know that once you're an athlete forever, right? And you can't get that out of your brain.
Exactly.
So there's a massive disconnect there internally. There's that internal suffering that if you can solve that for them, that's a huge win for that client. Cool. So Tara, what has this been helpful? Has this been helpful for you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the drawing board a little bit and clean up my slides and then submit it again on Webinar Wednesday.
Yes, absolutely. So what's been most useful for you from our discussion so far?
Well, clarifying the first page will essentially clarify every slide thereafter, because now I have some better language to solidify each slide.
Yeah.
And I think it'll just polish it up a lot.
Yeah, totally. And that's why we go back to like even the structure of the program. Like the first thing we do is talk about perfect client, problem, promise, and then your program, right? Because it's hard to know where you're going if you don't know where you're going. And even in the webinar, sometimes it's easier to have the title slide done after the fact, but sometimes it's good to have it done before, because then that sets the stage, as you mentioned, for everything else that follows.
Yeah, it does. Because I think what you've just given me is going to help me navigate a lot easier.
Yeah, cool. And that's what I'm here to do. So
yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, I know that we're just about up for time. I got to go pick up the kids in just a few moments, but for all of our listeners and viewers who are watching this from thinking like, I don't know, but like I've considered other coaching programs, or maybe I've been burned in the past, or like, are you really going to help me do this thing? What would you say to them if they're considering working with us?
I think it's important to have guidance, and to have guidance and support through live events such as this, and also the Facebook page and the calls that you have weekly, and a lot of the support that the other clients who are going through this process can give. Sometimes I do feel overwhelmed because, everybody's coming at it from different stages of this program. So when people post, I'm like, oh no, I'm not there yet. But then I have to just sit back and be like, okay, just take it at your own pace. You're going to finish this. You're going to be successful, and just keep going and just don't stop.
Yeah,
I think one of the most important things is because I've made the investment, it's an encouragement to keep me going. And I'm not going to stop until I get to that top of that pyramid that was on the first part of your webinar, that
Absolutely.
millionaire mark.
Yep. You guys will all get there 100% if you continue at it, right? And, if you paid $100, half the people will be gone already.
Yeah.
Like, this webinar thing is not too important. I'll do some other stuff, right?
Well, it's very true. Yeah. I've done that many times.
Totally. And that's why we talk about, guys, this, if you're listening, guys and girls, is the importance of premium pricing, because we're able to support you guys at such a higher level than we could if it was a fraction of the cost, right? And that's going to be important for your results, because that's ultimately what matters. So awesome. So Tara, thank you so much for joining me today, and for sharing your slides and opening the book and allowing us to dig a little bit deeper with you. And I'm glad that we got some clarity around this, and looking forward to seeing how this all unfolds for you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Yuri. I really appreciate it. This has been very helpful.
Awesome. You're very welcome. And everyone else, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Healthpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, here's what I'd like you to do right now. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Healthpreneur podcast on iTunes. And while you're there, leave us a rating or review. It helps us get in front of more people and change more lives. And if you're ready to start or scale your health or fitness coaching business and want to start getting in front of more people, working with them at a higher level without trading time for money, then I invite you to check out our free 7-figure health business blueprint training, totally free right now. And you can do so at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. For now, thank you so much for joining us. Continue to be great, do great, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.